Hello, Virgo. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Tarot in Wonderland by Barbara Moore, illustrated by Eugene Smith. At the bottom, there's the Llewellyn.com website. If you're interested, feel free to check that out if you would like to. Supportive Oracle cards, Magical Spell cards by Lucy Cavendish, illustrated by Jesse Reish. There's also a website, hayhouse.com. This is an older deck, but if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. I've probably said this before, and when I go back to the computer, the whole thought of checking for the websites and what's on there, gone. It's just gone. So it's an adventure if you decide to look at the websites. I have no idea, especially the magical spell cards. No idea what's there. But hey, it's an adventure. It's fun. And it doesn't cost you anything to check it out. So what do we have for Virgo? Okay, so I'm not feeling bad about anything, but when I was shuffling, and I thought I was just being facetious, I kept thinking Virgo's got some tea simmering on the back burner, and I'm like, I don't think of Virgo as having tea. I don't know why. I feel like I see maybe the people I know that are Virgos, they don't seem to get involved in that type of thing usually, but maybe there is. Maybe it's just how I relate to them. I just don't connect with them that way. But there's something going on. There's something you're aware of, but it's like at a slow simmer. It's kind of like, yeah, I know that's going on, and I'm keeping my eye on it. Not looking to stir it up, but I'm making sure I know what's going on there. So maybe you're not in the tea, but maybe you're you're paying attention to it. Virgos, I don't know why. Most Virgos that I know, they're kind of pretty chill in my opinion. But then again, that's kind of stereotyping that sign because there's a lot that adds into your zodiac, not for nothing, your chart, I should say. Somebody wants more of a connection with you. And I feel like this is where this is starting from. This is ironic. Especially because I'm using the Virgo energy, right? I'm connecting to you as Virgo. Even if you're not a Virgo, if you're connecting to this energy, I'm going down this road about the Devil card being here. And the thing is, the Devil card is actually an Earth card. And sometimes it talks about Capricorn. Not that you're a Capricorn. Not that the person you're dealing with is a Capricorn or even a Virgo. But the person you're dealing with might have more rules and restrictions that you're kind of like, you know what? People may not like those rules. People might not like those restrictions. But they serve a purpose. There's a reason they're there, and they do actually help us move forward. I understand people don't like it. It's kind of like how do I explain this? It's kind of like, eating your vegetables that you don't like. But it's kind of like you need your minerals, you need your vitamins, so you eat your vegetables, you know what I mean? It's kind of like those type of rules. Kind of like, yeah, people may not like these rules. Maybe people don't want to do the work they need to do, but it's important that it gets done. Somebody needs to do it. So there might be things here where I feel the Devil card is around you or it's been here for a while, but it's kind of like, yeah, nobody likes doing that, but it needs to get done. It's kind of like, it's kind of like cleaning the litter box. If you have a cat, you got to clean the litter box one way or another. It's kind of like you may not like doing it, but it's certain things that have to be done. You got to do it a couple times a day sometimes, or if you have one of those, maybe you have a few litter boxes around your house, so if you can't get to it right away, at least the cat can go different places. It's stuff like that. And it also seems very mundane, whatever this is, too, in the sense of, it's just kind of like, well, at least to you, it's kind of like, well, obviously, this is how this adds up, and people don't like it, and that's fine. Why do we keep going on about it? Why are we going on about it? Because it's like, why are we going on about it? We're setting the stage. Okay, we're setting the stage for what, though? People you do get along with who really find it difficult to hold to these boundaries and hold to these rules. But I feel like, again, when I see your energy, it's kind of like, no, they serve a purpose. It's not about liking it. It's about liking the outcome. It's kind of like for me, do I want to work out every day? No. Do I want to have a healthier body? Yeah, so I do it. So, there's a lot of health problems and heart disease in my family. So I'm like, This is one way that makes me feel like I'm better off. So I want the outcome. I want to be able to have a healthier lifestyle. I don't want to have to worry about that as much. Do I still worry about it? Yep. But not as much. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like it's the outcome. I feel Virgo's very stable with that. It's about the outcome. It's about the outcome. This isn't fun right now, but it will be. But it'll put me where I want to be. So I'm going to do it. Why are we? I feel like it's Is this a conversation you're constantly having? Do you find the conversation obnoxious? Because I'm feeling like we're having this conversation again. We're having this conversation again. Like, we're having this conversation again. Like, why don't they just accept it? They have to do this. Why do we have to have this conversation again? Things like, people are trying to get out of doing the hard work. You can't learn something if you don't put in the hard work yourself. Like, it's kind of like learning math. You got to do it yourself. You're not going to learn it if you don't do it yourself. You know this. This is not something I'm convincing you of. But other people are running around and they're causing some little bit of commotion here. I feel like people are trying to create a different way to do stuff. They don't want to have to do the hard work. They don't want to do the heavy lifting. So, okay, this is what's coming in. Even though you've had this conversation multiple times, and usually it works out to where people kind of like chill out and they do what they're supposed to do, we're coming up to a moment where people are trying to buck the system. They're trying to kind of get around, they're trying to cheat. They're trying to get a cheat. Instead of like, I'm going to use a baking analogy. Instead of like putting all the effort into like, if you're going to make a croissant, I'm saying it wrong. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of steps. You got to take your time. It takes some time. Instead of taking the 2 days it takes to make a really high quality croissant, I'm probably not saying it right. Like, I feel like to make a really high quality one, it takes like 2 days because the butter, you got to make sure the butter doesn't get too warm and all this other stuff. You got to use certain ingredients. You got to use the right type of flour. You use the wrong type of flour, it gets too sticky and it's a frickin' mess. I haven't made it, but I've watched it and I've been intimidated, but one day I'm going to make them. I don't know why I'm sharing that, but there you go. You got to do it a certain way if you want the high quality outcome. And people are like, that's all right. I'll just buy some pizza dough that's already made and I'll just roll it out and throw some butter in it and I'll make that work that way. That's not going to be a croissant. It's not going to be a high quality one anyway. If you know what I mean? It's like they're kind of like, I'll just buy pizza dough that's already made and then I'll just roll it in really thin and I'll just roll butter in between the layers and then that'll be good. That'll be fine. It won't be. It won't be the same. It won't be anywhere near the same. It won't be anywhere near the same. It'll be a buttery piece of pizza dough is what it will be. That's what they're trying to do though. They're trying to cheat the system instead of taking the time and doing it right and pushing through the steps and getting that high quality outcome. They're trying to like cheat. Like, I'll just get something that somebody already started and then I'll do what I want with it and it'll work. It won't. But that's what they're trying to do. When you see this coming in, you're doing the necessary steps. Virgo is very good with that. You have your process. You know what you're doing. I don't want to say that you're laughing. Maybe this is the tea that we're coming back into. Kind of like, yeah, okay, they're gonna shortcut it. I'm not. And I'm gonna get my high quality outcome. I'm not gonna give them mine. It's kind of like you're gonna end up with that buttery pizza dough mess. Hope you like it because you're not getting my high quality croissant. I'm probably saying it wrong. You're not getting my high quality. You're going to get stuck with your stuff. You want to cheat. You get your cheat. You eat your cheat. You get that. That's your outcome. I'm going to get higher quality because I'm putting the steps in like I always do. I'm doing it the right way like I always do. I'm going to get the outcome I want like I always do because I put in the time that I need to like I always do. It's kind of funny. Maybe that's why there's tea here because you're seeing what they're doing and you've had this conversation and you're like, you know what? Go ahead, cheat. See where it gets you. You go ahead. You knock your socks right off. Knock them right off your feet. Just keep them over there. I don't want to smell your socks. But it's your socks. You deal with your own socks. But I'm not. Okay. I mean, I'll watch from afar because that's not going to be a fun situation. But I'll watch from afar and I'm going to enjoy it too because I've told you and I've told you and I've told you. Maybe that's why we started with that in the beginning because it's like you have told this maybe person or people multiple times like don't cheat the system. Don't try to jump past steps. Don't try to don't take the quick route. You're not going to have the outcome you actually want. But they do. They jump forward. They got this great idea. It's funny. The aces come in. I feel like the aces don't guarantee a great outcome. They just guarantee a good start. Like, they're trying to find a way. They're putting in the effort. They got the power for it. But I feel you're standing over here to the side going, okay, you're going to learn a lesson, and it's going to be a good one. Hope it's worth it for you. I see it coming in. It's funny because people really want to work with you. People really like you, but it's kind of like, I'm going to let them do what they need to do. That's your card, by the way, Hermit card, Virgo card. You're just holding back, like, all right, I'm just gonna step back and I'm gonna let it simmer. I'm gonna let that tea simmer. You seem to be enjoying it, kind of like, all right, I've had this conversation too many times. And they're gonna have an issue. They're gonna have an issue. Okay, so the block card shows up. This is the Two of Swords, right? Yep. You see the cat face in the background? I feel like that's you. Not in a facetious way, but just kind of like, I told you. I told you. Maybe you're not saying it, but you're thinking it. You're like, I told them. I told them. The new beginning showing up is kind of like, this might be a good opportunity for you to get people to do something maybe a little better than they did before. I feel like you're slowing somebody down. And it might be more than one person, but I feel like you're slowing somebody down. You're reiterating the correct rules. And I feel like, I don't know, it's like if they were doing the process before and they were complaining about the rules, and if you're grading their performance, they were performing like at a 60 to 70. Like if you're grading a test, it's like, it was like a 60 to 70, how well they were doing. Was it acceptable? It was acceptable. Sometimes barely, but it was acceptable. So they were hitting between the 60 and 70 mark with the quality of work they were doing. You're reiterating the rules and how they should be done and the better way to do it. The new beginning to me, it feels like we might be moving them to a different position. I don't know what that means because I feel like it makes more sense to your story. So that you might be changing, like, whatever they were doing, they're still a part of the process, but maybe a different part of the process, if that makes sense. I guess you'll know if that makes sense or not. And you're reiterating the rules, and you're kind of, like, putting more emphasis on why this has to be done this way, this is the timing you have to do it in, this has to be done this way, this is how much time you have to wait before you do the next step, this is how you have to meter this part out, this is how precise this has to be done, this is why you got to check to make sure that is correct. You're being very specific, and I feel like the reason you're doing this is like you're being very nitpicky, but it's very important because you're like, however they were trained to do this before, they didn't grasp it or didn't take it as seriously as they should, and they were just kind of doing good but not good. They were 60 to 70, however you feel about that. Now they're going to be like performing in like the 80s. Like if you're now grading the paper, they're getting like 80, somewhere in the 80%. So it's like, it's improvement. I feel like you like this better, because I feel like I like the quality a lot better. So it's like before it was like a C to D, C to D, C to D. Now it's like a stable B, B plus, B plus. This is where it's now performing, which I feel like makes a big difference. You also know something else about this situation. You're adding something in. This is very interesting to me. You're adding something in. You got this. Is that the King? King of Pentacles with the creativity. You might be putting them through like a cycle type thing. I'm getting like you're creating a cycle. So like if there's a process and there's 5 steps to a process, if there's a few people involved in this, you might kind of like have like all right, today you do step 1 and 3, and then this other person will do step 2, 4, and I'll do 5. And then I feel like tomorrow, you'll do 1, and then everybody else will move ahead 1. So instead of them doing 1 and 3, they do 2 and 4, and then the other person does 5. Wait a minute, you do 1 and 3. they do 2 and 4, and then the other person does 5. And I feel like we might rotate through the days, like, today this is my job, tomorrow that's my job. Like, does this make sense? I feel like I should make it simpler. So if they do step 1 today, the second person does step 2, and you do step 3. Tomorrow you'll do step 1, that person does step 2, and the last person does step 3. And then the day after you'll do step 2, the person after you does step 2 does step 3. It makes sense. I feel like you get what I'm saying. I'm just making it muddy. I'm making it really weird. But like, you might create a cycle like that because it keeps it kind of fresh. It kind of like creates a little bit more of like a change in the system, but it also helps you keep an eye on the quality of other people. And it also helps them see the quality that you're doing, and it makes them want to keep the quality up to standard. So it's kind of like, however it was before, I feel like there's a pattern that we're putting in now. And it's kind of like if there's 5 people, again, so many people do step 1, this other group does step 2, and then maybe you're in step 3, and then the next day we all move ahead one. Because I feel like that keeps everybody on point, keeps everybody fresh, keeps everybody up to date with everything that has to be done. And it's not as boring, and it does create some change. You know what I mean? So there's that going on. I feel like you're a big piece of that. If you're not personally implementing it, you're giving input to like put that in place, because it helps people stay in standard with each other, and it brings people who maybe aren't performing as well, brings them up to par, and helps them keep up where they should be. Because if they just keep doing the same thing, they're always doing step 1, they're always doing step 1, they're always doing step 1, and then they get a little lazy with it, and then the quality starts suffering. Like, this keeps them from getting too comfortable with it. If we keep, like, today I'm doing this, but then, and then we all keep a process. We all know what everybody's doing. We all know the process a little better. Stuff like that. I feel like that's what we're implementing. I feel like that's where this is going, because when you do that, it does seem to change how people handle the situation, and people seem to be in much better spirits about the whole thing. When I get abundance coming in, I feel like, even though it seems simple, I feel like that keeps things fresh and lively, and it keeps people like, okay, today's not the same as yesterday, today's a little different. And it makes them like certain days better than other days, makes them appreciate things that they do a little differently. You know what I mean? It does help, and I do feel like you like it too. It's kind of like, yeah, because I can keep an eye on things better, and I'm more into the process. I can see how this is working with that, and there's a pattern to it, and you're like, you know what to expect, so, and you get a little deeper. You're learning things along with it, but it's in line with what you're already doing, so it works out very well for you. It seems to make your situation very strong for you as well. It's all stemming from this moment where they're being a little ridiculous. It seems to be triggering something for a change that works in your favor. Okay, so are we good? Is there something I'm missing? I think it's there. I'm not feeling like if there's something missing, I don't know where it's missing, so I think we're good. All right. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.